Welcome. Today, we're diving deep into stablecoins. And I know what you might be thinking. Oh boy, another super complex corner of the crypto world. But what if I told you we're not talking about some speculative asset? What if we're talking about a powerful utility that is already changing finance as we speak? We're going to follow the money, tracing the flow of stablecoins from the very source all the way to their real-world impact. Let's call it the river of value.
So I want to start with this really bold statement from our source material. The whole argument here is that while other parts of blockchain are getting all the headlines, stablecoins are quietly becoming the most useful, most widely adopted product in the entire ecosystem. It's a fundamental shift in how we think about this stuff, from a token you trade to a tool you can actually use.
And look, this isn't some tiny niche experiment. To really put that quote into perspective, just look at this number, the total market value of stablecoins. It's over $250 billion. This is a massive, established financial category that is operating at an absolutely incredible scale right now.
But market cap is just one piece of the puzzle, right? What about actual usage? Well, this is where it gets really mind-blowing. In 2024, stablecoins settled over $27 trillion in value on-chain. That is more than Visa and MasterCard combined. Trillions of digital dollars are coursing through this system, so let's break down how this massive river actually works.
Okay, so every river has a source. For stablecoins, that's where they're first created, or minted. This is the upstream part of our journey, where the money itself and the rules that govern it are established.
The very first thing you need to understand about the source is that it's not a wide-open field. It's basically a duopoly. You've got two giants, Tether's USDT and Circle's USDC, and they absolutely dominate the market, controlling over 90% of the entire stablecoin supply. So essentially, just two companies control the headwaters of this entire river.
And what's so interesting here is just how different these two giants are. On one side, you've got Tether, which is just a pure profit machine. We're talking an estimated $13 billion in 2024. Then on the other side, you have Circle, and they're all about compliance and distribution. They make less than 1% of Tether's profit, and a big reason why is because they pay a huge chunk of their revenue to partners like Coinbase just to get their coins into users' hands. It's a real battle, pure profit versus building out those compliant mainstream channels.
But the competition happening at the source isn't just about business models. There's a major technical innovation bubbling up that could change everything: yield-bearing stablecoins. The idea is simple, but it's totally revolutionary. What if your digital dollars could act like a high-yield savings account, automatically earning you interest just for holding them? This is a huge shift happening right at the source, and we'll definitely come back to it.
So the stablecoins have been minted upstream. Now we follow them into the midstream. These are the channels that move all those digital dollars from the issuers to the millions of people who actually use them.
But, moving between the traditional financial world and the digital one, it isn't always a smooth ride. These are the real-world headaches people face all the time. There's the risk of getting your bank account frozen just because you got funds from some unknown source, the pain of trying to explain large transactions to your bank, and of course, the constant friction from fees. This is the exact problem the midstream is trying to solve.
And here are the key players building out that infrastructure. You have what are called over-the-counter, or OTC desks. Think of them as the main on- and off-ramps for cash. Then you have the exchanges, like Coinbase, which act like these giant reservoirs where most of the activity happens. And then you've got really innovative products like cards, basically prepaid debit cards that let you spend your stablecoins in the real world, and wallets that are trying to create a totally seamless payment experience, almost like an Alipay for the digital world.
So while all this amazing technology is being built, the one thing that's really slowing down the flow of this river is regulatory uncertainty. For the midstream to truly open up and go mainstream, you need clear rules of the road. And right now, that's the big bottleneck that everyone in the industry is watching.
This brings us to where the river finally meets the sea, the downstream. This is where all that value and technology starts to have a real, tangible impact on businesses and people, solving actual problems. Honestly, this is why it all matters.
And this slide right here perfectly captures the first killer app, cross-border payments. The old way, using a system called SWIFT, can take up to 5 days to settle. It costs between 2 and 5%, and it only works during banking hours. With stablecoins, settlement is instant. The cost plummets to under 0.5%, and it works 24/7, 365 days a year. For any kind of international business, that is a complete and total game changer.
But you know what's really fascinating? It's what these institutional users say they value the most. It's not just about saving a few percentage points on fees. It's the speed. Instant settlement unlocks totally new business models and dramatically improves your cash flow. That is the real revolution here.
Okay, so remember that innovation from upstream? Let's look at how it actually impacts the everyday person downstream. A yield-bearing stablecoin, or YBS, is basically an upgrade for your money. It takes the stability of a digital dollar and it combines it with the passive income of a savings account, all on the blockchain.
So you're probably asking, where does this yield even come from? Is it real? This is so crucial. Unlike some of the risky schemes we've seen in the past, the source material here identifies 4 legitimate engines. The yield comes from 1. Real-world assets like U.S. Treasury bonds. 2. Some complex but low-risk trading strategies. 3. Interest from established crypto lending markets. And 4. Rewards paid out by the blockchain networks themselves for helping to secure them. These are verifiable, sustainable sources of income.
And what's the result? Well, these products are offering annual yields that typically range from 3% to 10%. In a world where your traditional savings account can barely keep up with inflation, this represents a really powerful new alternative for anyone looking to earn a meaningful return on their cash.
So we've journeyed all the way from the source to the sea. We've seen how this incredible river of value works. Now let's zoom out and talk about your place in the flow and what this all really means for you.
So how can you get involved? The source outlines a few different ways, depending on your risk appetite. If you're feeling adventurous, you could explore some of the incentive programs that new projects are offering. If you're more on the cautious side, you can still get exposure by investing in the publicly traded picks and shovels companies, like the big exchanges. And really, for everyone, the most direct way to participate is to actually use these yield-bearing stablecoin products as a new kind of high-yield savings tool.
And that brings us to our final big question. When you see trillions of dollars in settlement, when you see real-world business applications, and when you see new products that can offer sustainable yield to everyday users, are we witnessing the moment that digital money finally makes the pivot from being an object of pure speculation to becoming a tool of genuine global utility? That right there is the core of the stablecoin story. Thanks for tuning in.